Gentlemen, that's right, this is another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. I am your host, Old Heart, aka your motherfucking boy. That's right. Yes, I have been all across the hydration nation. I've been in hibernation, I've been in deep space, I've been all over the place. I've been kind of refocusing my efforts here at Old Heart Studios, and so I've been taking a little break off for some me time. Me time meaning the not me too time, which it is. It's just me time, which is kind of different. Actually, it's very different. It's more introspective and, for my own mental health. But either way, we're not talking about that, because this is what? This is Coffee and Contemplation. We're worried about contemplating something we didn't know the day before. Thank you. I agree. I have put together a good thing here, and I appreciate that applause from the live studio audience at Old Heart Studios. They are always perfectly timed. It's, like I said, it's been a little while, but I did find an IFLscience article today. If you don't know what IFLscience is, it stands for I fucking love science. If you don't love science, you can get the hell out of here. This article, however, is titled "Most samples of Spanish cannabis contain traces of human poop." I mean, it's a catchy title for an article. You gotta give me that. It draws you right in. It starts off, pot smokers in Spain might find that their cannabis is laced with some particularly unpleasant contaminants, specifically human fecus. It's true. According to a study recently published in the journal Foreign Science International, the vast majority of hashish samples, 88.3%, collected in and around the Spanish capital Madrid, were not suitable for consumption. What's more, a large chunk of those contained traces of E. coli and the remnants of human poop. Some of the levels 500 times higher than those allowed by U.S. law for cannabis or European law for fruit. That is crazy. Would you eat human fecus with your fruit? I don't think so, Europe. That's uncalled for. I definitely wouldn't be caught smoking fecus with my weed. If I wanted to get high off of fecus, that's called Jenka, okay? And nobody I know is into Jenka. Nobody you know should be into Jenka either. A total of 90 samples apparently were gathered over a period of 12 months. 60 of those samples were tested for foreign elements and unadulterants and microbiological contamination, plus odor. Odor, the only thing a normal human being would be able to detect. The remaining 30 were tested for E. coli, a bacteria that lives in the human gut and carries strains that can cause nasty bouts of food poisoning. Overall, though, always on time. Overall, though, 93% of acorn-shaped samples and 29.4% of ingot-shaped samples were found to contain traces of contaminants. It's not funny. If you want to smoke weed in Spain, don't right now. That sounds like it's too risky. You might be smoking somebody's dinner last night. Gross. 40% of those samples carried a fecal. Yeah, 40% of those samples carried a fecal odor, while all samples that carried a fecal odor contained E. coli. The moral of the story is apparently, like I said, don't smoke butt weed. This, the researchers say, most likely comes down to the process of distribution. While the cultivation of the cannabis plants for your own consumption is legal in Spain, the cultivation, trafficking, and public consumption of hashish is not. These samples, bought on the street, most likely arrived in Madrid from abroad, smuggled in via people's bellies. Oh. Bellies is a nice way of them saying it came through somebody's butt. All right. Listen to this professional pharmacist break it down. Once they arrive in Spain, they take laxatives to expel the acorns, and that is what goes on sale, according to Manuel Perez Moreno, a pharmacist of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and co-author of this study. On top of the high fecal count, the researchers found that many of the hashish samples had been contaminated with foreign substances and unadulterates, including hairs, sand, plastic, and textile fiber. Of the 25% of samples that had been unadulterated, 66.7% had an ingot shape. Meanwhile, 10% were found to contain spores of aspergillus. Don't fucking quote me on that. 66.7% of which were acorn-shaped, because they didn't want to make it 66.6. Word. Either way, like I said, my best advice is to just not smoke butt weed. Oh shit, shout out section. Shout out to Evil L, always, 100% forever. Shout out to Phil Collins, shout out to Jamie B. Jam, and shout out to Yellow T, shout out to Uncaged, shout out to Casserole, All of My Wood, shout out to Mooner6, shout out to Harrison Hanna, my boy, shout out to Stray Dog, and shout out to anybody listening. If you're not listening, I don't really care. If you do listen, good for you, I guess. The other good news is that the fungus is normally harmless. The bad news is that it can also be serious. It can also lead to serious infections in people with asthma, a weakened immune system, and underlying lung disease. That sucks. Ah, man. I hate to say this, but it sounds really like if you're taking a trip to Spain, it just sounds like it might be a little too dicey to smoke a bowl or two, which kind of sucks. I imagine getting high in Spain would be a good time. But I wouldn't know. I'm never in Spain. I'm usually just stuck on Old Heart's floating spaceship, floating around through time and space, every day, in every place. Don't you know? Don't you fucking know? I would go to Spain, though. I would go to Spain, but I just wouldn't smoke butt hash. Wow, like... If you can legally grow your own cannabis for consumption, like why not just fucking do that? It's probably like a touristy thing, or maybe there's an age limit on how old you have to be to grow your own weed. Perhaps I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. So apparently, like I said, just don't go to Spain to smoke fucking cannabis because. You smoke a bowl, you might be smoking somebody's butt bowl. What else is going on here? Besides fecal matter and marijuana. Also, like I said earlier, I mentioned Jenkum. Don't ever be caught being that cat that's huffing Jenkum. You just don't want to go there. You don't want to be that way. You don't want to be that person, and that's okay. Because Jenkum is really just huffing methane gas, I imagine. Seriously though, switching topics here, I'm gonna just go for it. Time to talk about my comic book pick for the week. That's right. Coffee and Contemplation would be nothing without my love for comic books because it's one of the things that constantly drives me to hop on Wikipedia. Said the biggest nerd in the room. Anyway. So, Superman/aliens. Technically, it's not versus aliens, just slash aliens. Hyphen, I guess is what they call it. No, not hyphen. It's not a hyphen. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, it's an American comic book limited series about a battle between the superhero, guess who, Superman, and the aliens created by H.R. Geiger, aka the Xenomorphs. I know, awful. The art is dope, but the story is kind of loose at times. It's just one of those. I love the visual idea of Superman fighting through a horde of alien xenomorphs, because really, they can't destroy him, but it would be cool to see him have to go up against them. They're too, as a kid, Alien was one of my favorite scary sci-fi movies because it scared the pants off me. Well, that sounds really bad. It scared the shit out of me. And Superman's always been, at least in my top 3, my top superhero. Superman's just is Superman. But like I said, the plot was kind of loose, so let me just break this down for you. Accompanying Dr. Cheryl Kimball, the head of LexCorp's space division, on an investigation of an incoming probe, Clark is shocked to discover that the pod's Clark is shocked to discover that the pod's transmissions are of Kryptonian distress. Imagine that. And so they send him off on this faraway adventure to this floating city, which also has been done before, and there he discovers a Kryptonian, right? I believe. Yeah. He rescued by... Yeah. Alright. Yeah. Anyway, so basically the whole idea of this story rests on the fact that where Superman goes to go find where this transmission's headed or coming from or whatever the fuck. It's so far away from a yellow sun that he literally, his powers just fade over time pretty quick in a way. But what doesn't make sense there is that Superman literally flies, he can fly light years in space and get away from the yellow sun. Well, maybe he's flying past other yellow suns, I guess. Anyway, so apparently this just takes place where he cannot have powers, which is really the linchpin of the whole plotline, because otherwise Superman would just rain terror down on all these xenomorphs instead of having to actually fight them. That being said, it's the Superman versus aliens. I mostly got it for the visuals. Like I said, the visual idea of Superman just having to punch his way or heat vision his way through a horde of xenomorphs was just so cool to me, because they scared the shit out of me as a kid. So that I was just I instantly boom. But the art was, and the story itself was just kind of, it had the feel of an alien story, which was kind of neat, not a Superman story, which I love. Anyway, I've got the whole series in individual issues. You probably don't, so suck eggs. And we're just going to leave it there. This has been another episode of Coffee and Contemplation. We've talked about fecal matter and Spanish cannabis. We've talked about my comic book pick for the week. So I say you've done a good job. You've made it all the way through. So you get a pat on the back. Not by me, though. This coffee is nearly gone. I'm going to go back to that hydration nation, but I'm not going to be in hibernation anymore. I'm going to keep trying to churn these out as we go. That's right. Your boy is back in town. Hopefully. High five myself on that one. Either way, go out there and use your brains for good. Every day is a good day to ripen up that coconut, which is the whole fucking idea behind this podcast. Ripen it up however you want to. Whatever you want to know. You want to learn to play guitar? Go play guitar. You want to learn more about comic book history? Go do that. You want to learn more about fecal matter and Spanish cannabis? Do that too. Either way, ripen up your coconut as best you can. And keep your stick on the ice.